Let me ask this here. Who is your first big client? Can you tell me that?
My first two big clients were Joan Rivers and David Brenner.
Joan Rivers?
And David Brenner.
Really?
Now, David Brenner at the time was a huge star, right? He had been on guest host on The Tonight Show many times. Joan Rivers also was a big star. And so those were the first two.
Really?
Big ones.
That's awesome. Now, I want to characteristic.
Now, people don't even know who David Brenner is today.
Well, you want to give them some context about how he's
it was a big star at the time.
What we'll do is we'll have the Program Observer add a little stats here about who he was in his career, so that way all the thrivers can get up to date there.
Right.
Now, characteristic number 8.
By the way, that's another good point about David and about stardom and great success. I want to tell your thrivers this. Getting to the top is really hard. It's really hard. But staying on the top, harder. Getting to the top, hard. Staying on the top for a couple decades, harder.
That's why I'm impressed. You've written 19 books. How many Academy Award winners have you represented?
58, sir.
How many? Okay, so how many New York Times best-selling artists?
43.
43. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then Grammy artists you've represented?
34.
34. That's a few. And that wasn't all in like 1 week or 1 decade. That was over. How long is your career in PR?
30 years, sir.
30 years. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Now we're moving on here to characteristic number 8.
Okay.
The habit of doing more than paid for.
Right.
Michael Napoleon Hill, my favorite author.
God, this is such a no-brainer.
I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to just unleash a truth cannon. I'll see if I can handle it. Here we go. Going the extra mile is the action of rendering more and better service than for which you are presently paid. When you go the extra mile, the law of compensation or the law of reciprocity comes into play.
Law of common sense.
Okay, here we go.
Indispensability. Now let me tell you something about that happened this last week. I have a friend in town who was a writer, and he called me up and he said, Michael, would you meet my son? He was working at a internet radio show for about 6 years, and he just got laid off, and I wondered, he's thinking about doing PR. And I wondered if you meet him. And I sat and I talked to him. And I said, son, what happened to you? He says, well, I was working at this internet radio station, and they had a bunch of layoffs and so forth, and I got let go. And it wasn't because of my work, no responsibility. I got let go because there was some bunch of layoffs and cutbacks and so forth. And I said, son, what I'm hearing you say is that you feel you got laid off because there was some layoffs. Is that right? Yes.
Uh-oh.
I said, son, here's what you did not do with your boss and your company. You didn't create this feeling, this emotional feeling of indispensability. See, son, you didn't do that. Well, I did everything, and I did everything I was asked to do, and I did it well. And I said, son, you're not listening to me. You didn't create a feeling, emotional feeling of indispensability. Now, let me try to explain to you what that is. May I do that to you, with you, son?
Go for it.
Great. Son, go up to a teenage girl this afternoon, 18, 16, and say, I'll give you $50 if you give me your cell phone, and watch what happens. They'd rather cut off their damn arm than give you that cell phone. See, because that cell phone, in their lives, in their world, is indispensable.